Is the presentation visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I'll start with the module one today. I hope another 3 or 4 session I can complete this module one. Okay, and I hope you know that only FON classes will take place these days, maybe around 10 or 12 days. So only FON class will be taken by me. Okay, uh, you know that?
Uh,
Al-
we knew only about today, sir. Today there is only FON class.
Okay, no problem. I don't know exactly, but your class advisor told me regarding this. So let me complete FON first. Okay. Then I think they will be starting the session maybe next week. I'm not sure about that. Okay. She told me like that. Okay, it's fine. Anyway, I'll be taking around 1.5 to 2 hours a day. Is it fine?
Okay, sir.
Okay. You want me to take in two different session or one session is enough for a day?
One session is enough, sir.
Okay. So I'll start with just the introduction of module one first. Okay. So first thing, what we notice is under module one, we study entirely about the basics of optics and optical communication system and some of the fibers. Okay. Like how the fibers are fabricated, how the fibers are selected, and what are the different types of fibers, and what about the structure of fibers, and why fibers are used, what is its advantage, what is its disadvantage, and what are its applications, and different types of fibers based on the application. So these are the things what we mainly focus on module 1. So first thing, this is the introduction. What I think I've already sent you the material. Okay. So anyway, at the end of the session, I'll be just sending you the material. Okay. Along with the questions. Most probably, I will sending you the questions based on which you can prepare yourself for your examination. Okay. So first thing, you know what exactly is by what you mean by communication? It is just a transfer of information from a point to another point. Okay, it may be over any small distance or a larger distance. So this is what we consider, and these are the things you have to just notice. It's just introduction part. What you have to understand: what exactly is communication, what is information, and what about the modulation or modulating a signal and demodulating a signal. So these are the basics required to understand the communication system. Okay, so that I have just included that under introduction slide. So communication is the transfer of information. It's known fact. Then for information transfer over a distance, a communication system is required. You know that. Then information transfer can be easily done if it's a very short distance signal transmission. But whenever you say that a signal has to be transmitted from one point to the other point, whenever the distance is more, we consider a concept of superimposing a signal or modulating the information. Okay, because whatever you consider in terms of a transmitting power, that should be very high. So that is actually a drawback. So instead of doing that, we are using a concept of superimposing or modulating the information, and which can act as a carrier for the information signal. I hope you know that. One is a modulating signal. Normally, what we consider it as a M of T, or message information or message signal, or the information signal, and C of T is a carrier signal. So you are going to superimpose that, and you are going to transmit it, or you are going to transfer that over a particular channel. So this is normally what we consider in a communication system. Then in that we are going to consider a modulation process at the transmitter. This is also known, and at the receiver it is demodulation, or what you call it as detection. At the transmission or the transmitting end, it is a modulation. Okay, so these are the basics what you already know. So just I want to uh, remind you regarding this informations. Then Then about the historical development, this is again just a glance. You should have a glance over this. It's not like you have to study for a examination point of view. Okay, it is just to understand what is going on recent in the development from past. Okay, so that is what you are supposed to understand. And historical development, we just look into the frequency term f and bandwidth. Okay, see, because we consider in the optical fiber these two factors much, that is the frequency and bandwidth. Okay, so are you there with me, right? Because it's a odd time what I kept today. It's 2:30. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. Because even in the class, I have just noticed you. Right.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah, anyway, so we'll just focus on the frequency and the bandwidth. So that is the two factor what we consider in the communication system when it comes with the optical fiber, optical fiber cable. Okay. And this is a known fact. If the transmission bandwidth is higher, then the information carrying capacity of the system will be very high, so that it is a improved performance in terms of the data transfer or the information transfer. So that is what we consider a higher bandwidth. So this is the main thing what we consider in optical fiber communication system. Bandwidth is very high, and for this reason, radio communication was developed to higher frequency. So again, higher frequency we are going to consider. So these two are the aspects what we consider for the optical fiber communication system. And there is a concept of frequency which is within a particular bandwidth, and based on that, the information transfer is going to change. Okay. So here I have taken just 10 power 4, that is around 10 power 4. It is a factor wherein the bandwidth is usable or utilized bandwidth is around this particular value, 10 power 4 into some value. Then, so why these optical fibers are required? The first thing is optical fibers have a lot of advantages over this coaxial cable. Okay, even I told you earlier during the class, maybe around 4 months ago, regarding a comparison of optical fibers with the coaxial cable. See, whenever I say optical fiber, in terms of its structure, in terms of its working, or in terms of its construction, in terms of its application, it is always compared with a coaxial cable. Because earlier days, coaxial cables were used for for a purpose of communication, but later it is replaced by a optical fiber. So that is what this statement means. And initially, the optical fibers exhibited a very high attenuation. See, whenever earlier optical fibers were fabricated, the attenuation was very high. Because whenever I consider the attenuation of the optical fibers are very high, then there is no meaning in choosing an optical fiber over a coaxial cable. Because whenever I say optical fiber, the fiber should have very less attenuation, so that we prefer optical fiber. So that is one of the advantage why we prefer optical fiber. But earlier, due to the initial fabrication process, there was a problem with the attenuation. Later, it has been resolved. Then it is not comparable. Yeah, the same thing what I told. And there were serious problem involved with the joining of the fiber cable. So this is the main concept what we focus on when we go with the process of joining the fiber. Okay. So here, when I go with the joining of the optical fiber, because of the size of the optical fiber, the problems exist. Whenever we want to join optical fiber for any link, there will be a serious problem while joining a fiber because of its size. So this you have to remember. Because of the size of the fiber, it's very difficult to join the optical fiber and to achieve a very low loss. So that is what we are not only using it to join the fiber, but whenever the fibers are joined, the fibers are to be joined in such a way that the loss is very less. And this is the idea of bringing the optical fiber as a replacement for a coaxial cable. You are with me, right?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So this is about the optical fiber selection over a coaxial cable. Then we just look into the electromagnetic spectrum, which is having a frequency and the wavelength. Because whenever I consider the optical communication system, we mainly look into the optical source, which is operating at certain wavelength. So this is one of the factor based on which we select an optical fiber, optical source in an optical communication system. So this is one more important concept, which is lambda. So whenever we see this optical fiber, we think about the frequency and bandwidth and the wavelength. So these are the three factors what you have to look upon for the optical fibers. Then, see, this is the thing about the optical communication system with some lambda and the frequency. So this is highlighted here. So it is having a range of 10 power 14 hertz. The frequency is 10 power 14 hertz. It is operating frequency. And wavelength is around 0.8 to 1.7. So that is total of around 1 micrometers. So this is the range of the operating wavelength of an optical source. So this is just to know how exactly you are going to choose lambda and what about the frequency and all. So this is again for the examination point of view, it's not so important. Okay, you might not find any question out of this particular topic. Then coming to the generation, so here you might get an example like explain the historical development of optical fiber based on the generations. So here we come across several generations like in first generation, what are the factors considered? In second generation, what were the factors considered? And how it is being changed, how it is being evolved year by year, how it is changed. And what were the advancements, what were the changes? So that we are going to consider in the generations. So coming to the first generation, there is a compound or a semiconductor material which is gallium arsenide. So this is used in a optical source. So whatever I use there as a laser is an optical source. So in the construction of the optical source, which is a laser here, they are using a semiconductor material which is gallium arsenide. So that was during the first generation, maybe around 1960 or 1970s. Then the operating region was near to 0.8 micrometer. So this is a operating wavelength, what we consider for a laser here during the first generation. And other specification, what we mainly focus on is a bit rate. That is what information can be transferred, at what rate the information transfer can be done. So we consider it as a bit rate or a transfer rate. So earlier it was 45 Mbps. So that is a bit rate what we considered in first generation. And repeater spacing. Can I know what is a repeater? If you remember. Anyone? If it is yes,
Resend
you
the
say.
signal.
Huh?
It will resend the signal.
Resend. Not exactly only one function you told me that it is going to resend the signal. But okay, it's fine, no problem. See, repeater is actually a device which is placed in between the links. In between the links. So here, if I consider these two are the optical communication system or any link established using optical fiber, and as you just told me regarding it is just repeating or resending the information. Okay, one part of the answer is right. But the thing is, along with resending the information, it has got some other applications also. So here what we consider is repeater is a device which is placed between the optical links. And this repeater spacing is nothing but the spacing between the links. How many repeaters you are going to place between the links? Maybe from transmitter to receiver, you may have n number of links. You may have hundreds of repeaters. So what actually happens if you increase more number of repeaters? It means that you are going to increase the complexity of the design. Repeaters are used in more numbers, in the sense more devices are being used. And if more repeaters are used in the design in a particular system, it means that the system has got more circuitry in it and more components are involved in the design. And there might be problem which exists due to the repeaters which are placed multiply, more number of repeaters. Okay. So if I consider that as a device which is used to resend the information from one particular link to another particular link, the distance or the spacing was earlier 10 kilometers. It means that after each 10 kilometer, there is a repeater which is to be placed.
Excuse
That
me,
was
sir.
during, tell
Excuse
me.
me, sir. Some are not like they are not able to attend the classes, sir. You have to accept the permission.
Okay, it means that I have to come back to just a minute. Anyone initiated, right? Kartika is there, right? You are
Yes,
the
sir.
CR of this class, right? Okay. So you do one thing. I'll be sending you the link before the session. Okay, you start the session. Okay, I will join, accept it. Then others may join. You may admit them. Okay.
Yes.
Because I cannot come back again, it will be a problem, right? Again, students might join even after some time. Okay. So now it's fine. For today, it's fine. So coming to the second generation, we just look into a bit rate which is being enhanced from 45 Mbps to 100 Mbps, and till 1.7 Gbps it can go. So this is a second generation development over a first generation, and that is the first thing. Coming to the second part, we have repeater spacing. See that earlier the repeater spacing was just 10 kilometer. Now it is 50 kilometer. It is not increasing in number actually. It is the number of repeater which is being placed. So after 50 kilometer, we have a repeater. So if I consider a 500 kilometer link, then during the second generation, the number of repeaters which were used may be around 10. If I consider it as for 50 kilometers, 9 to 10 actually. But if I go with the first generation development, it is around 50. Because it is at each 10 kilometer, you should place a repeater. Okay, so 50 is been reduced to 10. So that is a development in the second generation. So that is one what we can see in terms of repeater spacing. And one more thing they are considering is the operating wavelength. So operating wavelength is 1.3 micrometer during the second generation. And the semiconductor used is gallium arsenide, and this was earlier used here also, but with one more element which is not present there. Okay, so this is a semiconductor device which is used in second generation. A slight change with the inclusion of any doping item into that. Then coming to third generation, again the bitrate is changed to 10 Gbps. Earlier it was 1.7 Gbps. That was the maximum. And repeater spacing was 50 kilometer. So it is been again enhanced to 100 kilometer. So operating wavelength is 1.55 micrometer. So these are the changes what you look into when you come with the development or evolution of generation of this fibers. Coming to fourth generation, there is a technique which was introduced in this fourth generation, that is WDM, that is wavelength division multiplexing. So wavelength division multiplexing. So that was the technique which was introduced during the fourth generation. Okay, I'll tell you later what is wavelength division multiplexing. We come across that under module 4. Okay, so this is WDM. And the bit rate is again from 10 Gbps is changed to terabytes. Then repeater spacing was greatly increased to something around 10,000 kilometers. Okay, so this is the repeater spacing. And operating wavelength is again changed to 1.45 to 1.62. So that is the range. And coming to the fifth generation, there was introduction of amplifiers, or what we call it as amplification mechanism was introduced, which is done by a Raman amplifier. Again, we look into that under module 4. And optical isolators. So even this is the other device which is used under the optical components. So this is again introduced under fifth generation. And again, bitrate is changed from 40 to some TBPS to again GBPS due to change in the repeater spacing. So again, there was an improvement in the repeater spacing, and the operating wavelength has been changed. So this is about the historical development of optical fibers or optical communication systems. So 5 generations we are going to consider, out of which there are 3 points mainly considered. One is the bit rate or a transfer rate, followed by repeater spacing and the operating wavelength, and also maybe the inclusion of the semiconductor devices which is used as a optical source. Okay, so these are the things what you have to highlight if they ask you to explain the historical development. So first thing you can note, if you have a note right there, historical development of optical fiber. So you may be asked to write it for 6 marks. Okay, so this is the first question what you can expect, but it is least expected, but you may expect it. This is the first expectation what you can get under module 1. Then the general system. Okay, normally they ask you to explain the differences between a general system and an optical fiber communication system. Or they might ask you to explain the optical fiber communication itself, not a general system. So this is a general system. It is just a general communication system which includes some blocks, what you have already studied, which is already known to you. One is the information source, and this part is a communication medium. This is what we mainly focus on when we come across the communication medium. Okay, communication media or communication medium, which is normally some channel, which is a channel actually, a channel. And this channel may be anything in the sense it's a cable. And this cable may be any of these what we have already discussed, maybe a coaxial cable, maybe a twisted pair of wires, or maybe a copper wire, etc. So which was used earlier, and now its usage is limited. Okay, I cannot say that it's not being used right now, but it's having a limited usage. Then, so coming to a channel, we can see that there is a modulation process and a demodulation process, and this part is at the transmitting end, and this part is at the receiving end. And this transmission medium is actually the communication channel. But along with this, we also consider a reception, or what we call it as a receiver. So that is used to receive the information. The same thing what I told earlier. Communication, if I consider a message you are going to send, and destination, again you are going to receive the same. M of t you are going to send, and M of t you are going to receive. And in between this, we have a channel where we can see that a modulation is done, and we are going to transmit it over a transmission medium, and at the receiver we are going to demodulate it or detect it. We are going to separate the signal, because we are going to modulate, that is superimpose the signal M of t with C of t, a basic communication system. Is it clear, the general system?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then this is the explanation what I have given here for a general communication system. Just whatever I said, it's a signal what we are taking. Signal may be of any electrical form, and we are going to send it with a concept of modulating and demodulating. So that is what I have highlighted in the explanation. Okay, no need to give the same explanation what I have given here. You can give your own explanation, which is a valid one. Okay, then coming to the next expected question, that is explain the optical fiber communication system. Normally, if it is asked, it is for 6 or maybe sometimes for 8 marks. Okay, so first thing here, we should understand the difference between this and the previous general communication system. Okay, only thing what we can see in terms of difference is the channel. The transmission medium, or what we call it as a communication system, is being slightly modified with the additional blocks in it, which includes additional circuitries for some process. So here again we have an information source. Then here we can see that there is electrical transmit. This actually electrical transmit is nothing but a driver. It is a driver. And these drivers are used to drive this optical source. Okay, as you know that without a driver you cannot drive a particular for example a car. You cannot drive a car, because for driving you require a driver, maybe anyone. Same thing, optical source has to be driven by some, so that is being driven by a driver circuit. So we call it as a driver circuit. So this driver circuit drives the optical source. So what exactly is done in this optical source? So in this optical source, there is a conversion which is done. So that is from electrical to optical, because we are using the communication system or the channel or the optical or the communication medium as the optical fiber cable. And whenever we use an optical fiber cable, it accepts only the information in the form of a light. That is optical signals. We cannot just transfer the information which is in an electrical form. So we have to convert it. So electrical quantity is being converted to optical signal. That in your section, I think A or B section, one student is there, no, who was sitting beside to Shantanu or behind Shantanu, who was using some softwares. Even he told to record the session, some OBS software, I think. Srivatsa, right? Srivatsa.
Yes, sir. A section.
A section, huh? Okay, even I forgot after a long time. Srivatsa, actually I tried with that OBS software, whatever you are given to Jayashree madam, I think. You told that whatever I just take a session, it can be recorded, right?
Yes, sir. He is not able to reply, sir.
Okay, no problem. Actually, I tried with that to record, but the thing is, around 2 minutes of recording, it will be around 20 MB. Okay, so if I just convert that into 1.5 hour session, it will come around 600 MB or even more than that. And the quality of audio is very bad. So actually, I dropped that idea of recording it. Okay, actually, Srivatsa is not able to reply, right? No problem. That was the thing. I just wanted to convey him regarding this. Okay. Okay, fine, no problem. So coming to the optical source, we are going to convert from electrical to optical. So that is the first conversion which is going to be done. And this optical source is either a light emitting diode, it's a optical source which is being used, or a laser. So either it is LED or a laser, we are going to use it in the optical communication system as an optical source. So the conversion takes place from electrical to optical. So that is done by a LED or a laser. And again, the selection of LED or a laser depends on its application. Because if I go with LED, we have surface emitting LEDs, and we have edge emitting LEDs, and so on. So we have different types of LEDs which can be used for the same purpose, that is electrical to optical. But depending on the application or the requirement, we are going to select it. So that is the first concept what we use here. And we have optical fiber cable, which is a channel. Okay, so whatever optical signals which is converted from the electrical signal by the LED or a laser, it is being coupled into the optical fiber cable. So it is being sent. It is being sent to the optical cable. And from the optical cable, we are going to get the optical signals. And that itself is a channel. Then, once the optical signals travel in the optical fiber or traverses in a fiber, there are some variations. We cannot say that whatever optical signal is being sent, the same is received at the optical fiber end, because there might be so many factors which are disturbing the optical signals. Okay, so that is the thing. Now, that has to be removed, whatever in terms of distortions, in terms of errors, in terms of the amplitude variations, all these things has to be removed in the signal. So that is done by some of the circuits. So that is included in the electrical receive part. Before that, whatever we have, the optical signals is to be converted. So that is converted by the optical detector. So that is optical to electrical conversion is done by optical detector. And again, optical detector may be depending on the selection of the application. One is the AP diode, that is avalanche photodiode, or pin photodiode. So either this or this can be used depending on the application. Like for small distance application, we go with pin, and long distance application we go with APD, because the characteristic curve what we get for APD and pin are slightly different. So depending on that characteristic, how the APD works, how the pin is going to give you a certain output for some input what you give. So that based on that we are going to select the optical detectors as AP diode or pin photodiode. And once the conversion is done from optical to electrical, we are going to send it to the receiving part of the destination. But before that, as I already told, there might be some variation in the information. So that is maybe introduction of some noise, or some errors gets introduced, or some amplitude variation may exist in the signal what you get. So all those things has to be changed. So that is done by using this particular electrical receive circuit, which may include amplifier. Say for example, amplitude variation is very much affected in the optical fiber cable during the signal which is being coupled into the fiber. So that has to be reduced. So optical, the amplitude variation has to be minimized, or it has to be reduced, so that amplification is done. So that is one of the example what I can take under electrical receive. Or if I go with the equalization, like some of the signals may be distorted based on some noises in the fiber cable. So even that can be minimized in the electrical receiving part. So that is done by a equalization or equalizer. So even we can have several blocks which can perform some of the task which is based on the noise, or based on the variations what we can get in the optical fiber cable. Okay, it's not a constraint explanation what you can fix it as just amplification is done or just equalization is done. No, you can have any of this. Noise can be introduced so that you are going to equalize the signal, or you are going to remove the variations of the amplitude using an amplification process, etc. So that can be highlighted under this electrical receive part. So this is the working actually of an optical communication system. So this is what you have to explain, and you should know the difference between this and the general communication system where only coaxial cables are being used instead of optical fibers as the communication media or a transmission medium. So any doubt in this particular block diagram explanation?
No, sir.
Okay, shall I move to the next concept, right?
Yes, sir.
Everyone are there, or some are sleeping? I cannot monitor, so I am just
Yes, sir.
reminding you. Yeah, obviously they are there,
Present, sir.
but
Active,
yeah, they are
active.
present.
Everyone are active.
That's what. Okay, so these are the explanation what I have given. Active, fine, no problem. So this is about the explanation what I have given. Okay. Next one is just an application. Even this may be asked. The same thing what we have just gone through the optical fiber communication system. Here we come across a digital concept. There I have taken just an electrical quantity which is being used as an information, and it is being transferred. Here instead of what do you say, analog information in nature, I'll consider it as a digital information. That is in terms of binary streams. I am going to send a particular data or send a particular information. So that is what I do. Only one difference what we find in this and that particular block diagram is here we come across an encoding and decoding process, which is same as the modulation and demodulation. Okay, whatever we do in the communication system, which includes an analog signal, the same concept is carried out in a digital optical fiber link. So there is no change in terms of explanation. You can see that the information source is digital and the signal is encoded. And once the signal is encoded, you are going to send it to the optical receiver. So this is the optical source, sorry. This is an optical source or optical transmitter. You can see that here. Electrical transmit and optical source. So this is an optical transmit part, and this is optical receive part. So this is optical source or optical transmit part. Now this is a transmission medium, which is an optical fiber cable, and this part is optical detector or optical receiver part. So here you can see that optical source used is a laser. Here you can see that the optical detector used is a avalanche photodiode, APD. And we can see that here laser drive circuit. So what is that laser drive circuit? It is the electrical transmit part. We have seen that in the previous block diagram. And this is, can you tell what is this? You told me just now you are active.
Receive part. Electrical receive part.
Yeah, this is electrical receive part. May I know who answered it right now?
Suraj Prabhu.
Suraj Prabhu. Fine. So this is electrical receive part. And I already told you regarding amplification, it might be done, and equalization is done using an equalizer. So these are the two blocks which are electrical receive, and this is laser drive circuit, which is an electrical transmit. I already told you regarding driving a particular device. So laser drive circuit is used to drive this particular laser, which is an optical source. And at the receiving end, the signal is going to be decoded and you will get the digital output. Okay, so whatever explanation you are going to stick on to this particular topic is same as what we have already done with the previous topic, except digital date. Okay. No, this is one example. They might ask you to explain a digital optical fiber link. So don't be confused between the previous block diagram and this block diagram. Clearly, if it is indicated it's a digital, just write this and explain it. Then this is a very important one. They might ask, explain the, or first they might ask, list the advantages of optical fibers and list the disadvantages of optical fibers, or list the advantages of optical fibers and explain it. Most of the times what they have asked is list the advantages of optical fibers and explain. And the remaining part is disadvantage. So what is the disadvantage of using an optical fiber and application? So application, I don't think you remember. If you remember, what I told you about application is you can have n number of applications. You can write n number of applications where the optical fibers are being used. So I cannot say that write only 3 or 4 applications. You can write more than that. So you can just Google applications of optical fibers. You get a lot of applications. So you can stick on to any of that. Okay, it's not that what we are giving here as a material, you have to replicate the same in the examination. It's not that. But whenever you go with advantage and disadvantage, you stick on to the same concept. So first thing, advantages of optical fibers. The first thing what you have to notice is regarding the bandwidth. So initially I told you about the bandwidth. The same thing is the advantage. The first advantage based on which the optical fiber is selected is its bandwidth. So it has got an enormous potential bandwidth. It means that the optical carrier frequency is in this particular range, 10 power 13 to 10 power 16 hertz. It means that the range of frequency is very high. The bandwidth is very high. You know that range of frequency is nothing but a bandwidth. So you can see that the range of frequency is from 10 power 13 to 10 power 16 hertz. So the range of frequency is very high. It means that bandwidth is very high. So if the bandwidth is high, the information carrying capacity of the optical fiber should be very high. So that is what the meaning of the potential bandwidth is. If I say the bandwidth is very high, it means that the information carrying capacity of such systems, here it is a cable, of such cables will be very high. So that is one of the advantage of using optical fibers. Okay. So these numbers you have to note whenever you explain, and it is compared with a metallic cable or a coaxial cable. Because over this cable, this selection of optical fibers are done based on the bandwidth. This is the first advantage. Then coming to the second, we have small size and weight. That is the second advantage. The diameter of the fiber will be very smaller, very small. So the size of the fiber is very small because the diameter is small, and weight and the size of the fiber is very small. It means that the fiber weighs very less. The weight is lesser. So that is small size and weight. So that is a second advantage. It has got a small diameter, and even it is not greater than the diameter of the human hair. So even such kind of optical fibers exist. And the optical fiber has got a protective layer because whenever I go with any cable, it is to be insulated. The outer layer should be having an insulation or a protective coating, which can avoid the noise, which can avoid any sort of variations or radiations or disturbances from the external source. So it should have a protective coating or isolating material. So that is given, or a protective material. So that is there. Even with that, the size of the fiber is very small. So you can think about the optical fiber structure. So it is smaller and much lighter than the corresponding copper cables. So same thing. You are comparing it with the copper cables. Third one is electrical isolation. The main purpose of using electrical isolation as a benefit is that because of the material which is used in the fabrication of a fiber, because it is using a glass or a plastic. Whenever I go with the fiber, it is using either a glass or a plastic as a material, so which are very good insulators. So glass and plastic are very good insulators. So that is one advantage of using the materials in the fiber fabrication. So that becomes a very good electrical isolators. So that is a very important advantage. And they do not exhibit earth loop and interface problems. So due to this isolation which exists in the material itself, there is no question of earth loop or any problem of interfacing. So this is about the third advantage. Then this makes the fiber to use in the electrically hazardous environment, because since it is an insulator or it is a very good electrical isolator, it can be used in a very hazardous environment which is under the some electrical quantity. So that is one of the benefit of fiber. So this is the third one. Fourth one, immunity to interference and crosstalk. Okay, so this two interferences are avoided if optical fibers are used. One is electromagnetic interference and the other is radio frequency interference. So why I consider this RF and EMI? Because whenever I consider any optical fiber link which is being in use, it is under the influence of some electrical quantity or some electrical signals, some radio frequency signals, because these optical links may be present near a tower, maybe near any transmitting equipment or any receivers. So due to that, there might be some radiations or there might be some signals which are radiating out of this particular transmitter or receiver or any of the device. So due to that, there might be interference with the signals which are the information in the optical link. So that has to be, that may be disturbed. So that is avoided. So that is electromagnetic interference is avoided and radio frequency interference is avoided. Normally that is from the mobile towers what we normally see. Or switching transients using electromagnetic pulses. So these switching transients exist within the optical communication system. It need not be from external source. It may be due to the internal disturbances in the system. So that is avoided if we are using a optical fiber. And coming to the second part, that is a crosstalk. Crosstalk in the sense whenever we use the optical fiber in a noisy environment, so you can see that electrically noisy environment, the fiber cable, there is no requirement of shielding from the electromagnetic interference because it is already being prevented from the electromagnetic interference. There is no other additional protective layer which are being required. So that is one of the benefit. And whenever I say that optical fibers are cabled together, it means that say you cannot have a single optical fiber which can be used from one point to the other. So in some cases you may require a bundle of optical fibers which may be tied together, say 4 to 5 fibers or 10 fibers or hundreds of fibers which are cabled together. We consider it as cabled together instead of using tied together. So if they're cabled together, there might be crosstalk between the optical fibers. There might be some information which may be radiated out of one fiber and it may disturb the information in the second fiber, or from second fiber to third fiber, or third fiber to second fiber, whatever it is. So that is considered as a crosstalk. So that is very less, it is negligible. So such crosstalks in the fibers are very less compared to the copper cables. So that is about the immunity to interference and crosstalk. Crosstalk is nothing but the disturbance between each of the fibers if they are cabled together. So that is what about the immunity. to interference and crosstalk. So this is one of the important advantage. Coming to the next, we have signal security. This is mainly based on the application, because optical fibers have wide range of application, and most of the cases it is going to be used in banking and defense or military applications, and general transmission. General transmission is fine, but whenever you go with a military or a banking application, you require the data to be very secure. So it has to be securely transmitted. So that is a very good quality of optical fibers, because whatever information which is being propagated in a particular fiber cable, it is not radiate. So see that the light from the optical fibers does not radiate significantly, and therefore they provide a high degree of signal security. So radiation of the optical signal out of the cladding, actually we call it as a cladding. I don't think you might have forgot this, because you have only two layers of the optical fibers. One is core and one is the cladding. So if a light is radiated out of the cladding, it means that the information is lost. So that is avoided if you are using a fiber. So that gives a very high secured signal transmission. And if there is any attempt to acquire a message signal, what we call it as a signal tapping. So anyone try to steal the information from the cable or the channel, it's very difficult. It cannot. So that is, it can be easily detected, so that it can be avoided. So that is very high signal security. Then low transmission loss. This is a major thing what we consider in a fiber based on the losses, because as the length of the optical fiber link is going to increase, the transmission loss is a major factor, because transmission loss is calculated per kilometer. So the development of optical fibers over the last 15 years resulted. So these are the things which are not required actually while you write it, not essentially to be written. So in the production of optical fibers which exhibit very low attenuation or transmission loss in comparison with the best copper conductor. So what is that? The transmission loss in the optical fibers are very less when it is compared with the copper cable. But with a figure, what is that figure? It is 0.2 dB per kilometer. So this is very important while you explain the transmission loss. It is 0.2 dB per kilometer for a fiber. Whereas for a copper cable, it is in terms of tens, like 2, 5, 10 dB per kilometer. So that is a minimum amount of loss which can be expected in a copper cable or a copper conductor compared with the fiber. Fiber is just 0.2 dB per kilometer. Even this is more, but still it cannot be avoided. So that is a low transmission loss. So that is a major advantage of optical fiber communication. And due to this low transmission loss, it is useful for long distance transmission. So that's what I told you. Whenever we consider a low transmission loss, it is calculated as a transmission loss is calculated per kilometer. So as and when the range is going to be increased, the distance is going to be increased, it is affected, the signal gets affected based on the loss. I can say that for this many kilometers loss is this, and for these many kilometers again the loss is increased. So that is what we consider as a long distance transmission. But this is useful for a long distance transmission with only 0.2 dB per kilometer as a transmission loss. So it is negligible. And for both system cost and complexity, it reduces the system cost and complexity. Because whenever we go with the system cost, it is a major issue with the cost of the installation or cost with the communication system, what it is going to be developed. And coming to the complexity is nothing but a design. So how many devices are being used? Say if I go with the long distance transmission, you may require more number of repeaters in the design. So that repeaters may be reduced due to the low transmission losses, or else you require more number of repeaters to be used, or any other element. So anyway, that becomes a complexity. So that is reduced. Then ruggedness and flexibility. So one thing, whenever you go with the flexibility concept, the fibers are very flexible, but due to its structure and due to its size, it is very easy to bend, very easy to transport, etc. So that is the thing what we consider. So protective coatings are essential. Optical fibers are manufactured. Okay, these are not required actually. This should be known. Manufactured with very high tensile strength, and they provide flexible, compact, and extremely rigid. So this is what you are supposed to consider under flexibility and rigidness, which in turn have an advantage of storing it, transporting it, handling it, and installing it. So this is the main thing. Because of the flexibility, it can be easily handled, it can be easily installed, and due to the ruggedness of the fiber, it can be easily transported, it can be easily stored. So these are the things what we consider under ruggedness and flexibility. These are based on the physical structure of the fiber. This has nothing to do with the electrical characteristics in the system. Then system reliability and ease of maintenance. Whenever we consider a system, we look into its reliability, how reliable it is. If I have one system, how long I can use it. If it is for 1 year, if it is for 5 years, if it is for 10, if it is for 20 years, 30 years. So how reliability is calculated, how long you can use and how efficiently you can use it. How efficiently you can use it. Whether it works same for n number of years. So that is what we consider as a reliability. System is reliable or not. Then ease of maintenance. Ease of maintenance is nothing but there should not be any maintenance. But even if there is any maintenance, it should be very easy to maintain it. It should not be a complex one. So that is what we consider here. These features primarily stem from the low loss property of optical fiber, which reduce the requirement for intermediate repeaters or line amplifiers to boost the transmission signal length. Hence, with few repeaters, system reliability is generally enhanced in comparison with the conventional electrical conductor system. It means that you can have a reliable system with few repeaters in the design. So that is what we mainly consider here. With few repeaters, the system is highly reliable. This is the first system reliability advantage of a fiber. Further, the reliability of the optical component is no longer a problem with predicted lifetime of 20 to 30 years. If I consider an optical link, we have some optical components which are as an inclusive part in the system. And whenever we consider this as the optical components in the system, the predicted lifetime of these optical components is around 20 to 30 years. It means it shows the reliability, how reliable this optical component is in the optical link. So for 20 to 30 years, there is no issue with the optical component unless it is damaged due to some other problem. So it can easily go up to 20 years. So that is a component, optical component, what we are going to have. Then both these factors also tend to reduce the maintenance time. So that is ease of maintenance. Because anyway the components are reliable and there is no question of having maintenance, regular maintenance is not required. So this is the advantage. Then last one is potential low cost. Why that is potential low cost? Because whenever we consider the fabrication of a fiber, we know that they are fabricated using a silica. They are fabricated using silica. And the silica is nothing but a sand. and that is not a scarce source. So it is abundantly available till now. So we consider it as the potential low cost. So whatever we are going to consider during the fabrication, the silica is used or a sand is used as a part of the fabrication process along with the fiber material or a dopant or any other semiconductor device. We are going to consider a sand as a material which is used in the fabrication of a glass, which is a material of the fiber. So it is of very low cost. So in comparison with the copper conductors, you know that copper is costly. So optical fibers offer a potential for low cost line communication. So compared to copper, the glass is very least costing element. Then there are other possible advantage in relation to shipping, handling, installation and maintenance. Since it is made up of glass or it is made up of plastic, compared to copper, it may not be heavier so that it can be easily transported using shipping. It can be easily shipped out and it can be easily handled. It can be easily installed and it can be easily maintained. So these are the advantages. So whenever you are asked to explain, you have to list 9 advantages, and out of 9, 4 to 5 you have to explain. So this is about the advantage of optical fibers. So any doubt in this particular advantages of optical fibers?
No, sir.
Okay. So next comes the disadvantage. So disadvantage is high initial cost. See, earlier in the 9th advantage, I told you that it is potential low cost. It is related to the fabrication, selection of fiber material. The cost is less because it is using sand. But in high initial cost in the sense, initially while we install an optical system, the cost of installation is very high. So that is the first thing. The initial cost of installation or setting up cost is very high compared to all the other systems. But once it is installed, you have various advantages. That is, we have listed it out. Flexible and low transmission loss, then size, weight, and signal security, electrical isolation, ease of maintenance. So all these factors we are having as an advantage. So we are not worried about one disadvantage. We have 8 to 9 advantages which are based on the physical structure of the fiber. So we are not worried about a cost, initial cost or installation cost. Later, there is no question of maintenance because it's highly reliable. 20 to 30 years, the optical components are reliable and maintenance free. So the optical fibers are preferred. But anyway, it's having one disadvantage, that is high initial cost. Then maintenance and repairing cost. Earlier in the advantage, I told you that the ease of maintenance is very less. But in case if there is a maintenance which has to be done in the optical communication system or optical fiber system, is maintenance and repairing is not only difficult but also expensive. Okay, so that is a major disadvantage of optical fiber. You will never get a maintenance work, you will never get a repairing work. But if you get, then it's very difficult and it's very expensive. Okay, it's like what do you go for a very luxurious and branded car. You will never get a question of maintenance and repair. But if you get, you're gone. So that is about a similarity what I told. Then third one, joining and test procedures. This is a very critical aspect when it comes to fiber. One is joining, because you know that the size of the fiber is very small. We have discussed that under first advantage, small size and weight. And diameter of the fiber is very small, micrometers. Even in centimeters or whatever you can have. But still, you may have an optical fiber whose size is very, very small. But even that has to be joined. So that is a very complex process. So that is one of the drawback of a fiber, joining process. But it can be joined. It is done. But with lot of procedure to do that. So since optical fibers are of very small size, the fiber joining process is very costly and requires skilled manpower. So that is one thing. And once you join, you have to test it. Like some light is coupled into the fiber from one end, and from the other end, you are going to get the same optical signal, and you have to measure whatever you are sent, you are received, and how much power is lost, etc. So that is testing what you are going to do. And even that testing procedure is a disadvantage. It's quite difficult when you go with the joining and testing process. So that is the disadvantage. Then coming to next one, tensile stress. This is a very important one. This is based on the physical material used in the fiber. Fiber are more susceptible to buckling, bending, and tensile stress than copper cable. This is normally buckling or bending, because I told you that earlier in advantage, fibers are flexible, but they are flexible only to a particular extent. If you try to bend it beyond a particular level, it is going to break, it is going to buckle, or it is going to brittle. And whenever you look into the physical structure of the fiber, you may never notice that the fiber is broken or there is some crack in a fiber, because the size is very small. It's very difficult to notice. So this is one of the drawback of a fiber. And then short link. I already told you that since it is exhibiting a low transmission loss, it is very much useful in long haul or long distance application. It is not necessary that it is used only for longer distance application, but it is also used in short distance application or shorter links rather than what we call longer links. We can use it for a shorter link, but it would be very costlier to establish a short link or a smaller link. So even though optical fiber cables are inexpensive, it is inexpensive. See, remember, you cannot directly say that it's inexpensive, but it is inexpensive when you are comparing it with the copper cables, and it is inexpensive when it is compared with the maintenance, compared with the repair, etc. You will never get such opportunity, very less. So out of 100, one might get such problem of maintenance or repair. But when you come with the copper wire established communication system, you may get out of 100, 40, 50 or 60, you may get a problem with the links. It may break, or there might be some maintenance work, there might be some replacement of device, etc., because they are not reliable. Then not cost effective to replace very small conventional connector between computer and peripheral, as the price of optical optoelectronic transducers are very high. Okay. So in some of the applications where I consider it as a shortest link, it may not be a feasible way of selecting a fiber, because it is only advantage for long distance application. For short distance, it is a loss. Then fiber losses. This one is different. It is not a transmission loss. It is a fiber loss. The amount of optical fiber available to the photo detector at the end of the fiber length depends on various fiber losses such as scattering, dispersion, attenuation, and reflection. See, I already told you that. See, if a signal is being propagated in the fiber, this is a fiber. If this is a fiber, you are going to transmit power Pi, input power, this is output power. And the fiber loss may be based on a scattering. The light may enter a fiber, it may scatter, it may disperse, it may attenuate, it may reflect. So these losses are higher when it is compared with the copper cable. So this is one of the disadvantage. So you can have 9 advantage and 6 disadvantages of the fibers. Then application I have just limited to telephone networks, broadband service networks. So here I have taken under this as telephone switched broadband communication network, video conferencing, suburban communication, and here long haul coaxial trunks and exchanges. So all this might use the optical fibers. So this need not be the entire explanation what I have given. So applications, telephone networks, then broadband networks, then public switch telephone network, PSTN, or private switch telephone network. You might have studied under DSS. If you remember, you can rewrite it as the application. And some medical applications, you might also use the optical fibers. Through the optical fibers, various diagnosis can be done. Then military or defense applications, you are making use of the optical fibers. Banking applications, you are using optical fibers. And LAN connections, you are using optical fibers. Several computer networks, you are using optical fibers. All over, you are going to use optical fibers. So you can have any number of applications which can be for an optical fiber. Okay. So any doubt under these things, what I have explained you?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, anyone? Someone was talking, right? Anything? Okay. So next is about optical fiber waveguides. So again, I'll not go in detail with this. It is just to look into the structure of the fiber. So we have two structures defined for a fiber, or two layers. One is a core, one is a cladding. So whatever light or optical signal that is going to be propagating in the core, and the outer layer is a cladding. So this is a cladding and this is a core. And these two materials will have two different refractive indices. So N1 and N2, and remember N1 should be always greater than N2. Refractive index of core should be higher than the refractive index of cladding. So this is the basic requirement for a layer of the optical fiber. Then this is considered as a waveguide or just an optical fiber structure. So this is a waveguide. Then ray theory transmission. So again, no need of going with all this. It is just speed of light, how it depends. And what is the speed of light? It's known 3 into 10 power 8 meters per second. Then reflection. Okay. So these are the basics of optics. What you might have studied under your physics. What is reflection? So one is lighter medium, one is a denser medium, and the light is incident on a particular surface and it is being reflected or it is being refracted. So these are the things what we have already studied under physics. Okay, so light is reflected, light is refracted. And one more concept what we consider under ray theory transmission is total internal reflection. So we mainly focus on total internal reflection rather than reflection and refraction. Okay, so first we should know what is a medium, and what about denser medium, what is lighter medium, and what happens whenever the light is entering a different medium. Say for example, lighter medium, the light is incident and striking a surface and entering a denser medium. So what will be the change in the reflected ray, or what will be the change in the signal, etc. So that is going to be considered under this. And whenever a light ray or an optical ray strikes a particular surface, it is forming some angle. And whenever a ray is reflecting, it is again forming some angle. Whenever a light ray is refracted or bent, it is forming another angle. So these are the things what we consider. And we should know what is a normal, perpendicular and normal, or the ray traveling along the normal of the normal or perpendicular to this particular interface, etc. So these are the things we should just look into the concept of reflection. So this is one thing. Light is incident and light is reflected. You can see that. So this is the reflective surface, and normal to the reflective surface is the line which is perpendicular to the surface where the light is going to strike and reflect back. So phi 1 is a incident ray, phi 2 is a reflected ray. So this is according to the law of reflection. Phi 1, or the angle of the incident ray, will be equal to angle of the reflected ray. So this everything is followed using Snell's law. So refraction. Refraction occurs when a light passes from one medium to another, that is, light ray changes its direction. It is nothing but bending. Normally, when we say change in direction, it is going to bend. That is what happens. So refraction occurs whenever density of a medium changes. So that's what I told you, lower density and higher density medium. Then this is similar to your N2 and N1, because N1 and N2 are the surfaces of fiber, layers of a fiber, core and a cladding, wherein the refractive index is different in both core and cladding. One should be greater than the other. That is, core refractive index should be greater than cladding refractive index. Similar to a concept of lower density and higher density. That depends on this refractive index. Density changes depending on the refractive index. So, example, refraction occurs at air and water interface. The straw in a glass of a water will appear as it bent. This is the thing what you already known. So again, I'll not go into that concept. Now you see this diagram. The light ray is incident and the light is refracted. And some part is not refracted, so it is unrefracted ray. So here you can see low dense medium, which is air, more dense medium, which is glass, because air medium refractive index is 1.0 and glass is something around 1.65 or 1.35, whatever. So this is greater. So this makes the denser and lighter medium. That is what I told you related to core and the cladding. Then we define a refractive index as the ratio of velocity of light in vacuum to the velocity of light in the medium. So you should know refractive index, because they might ask you a question based on refractive index. Define a refractive index, or what is a refractive index, and you should derive an equation for refractive index and relate it with the relative refractive index delta. Okay. So anyway, it's 3:57. Okay. Since it is the first day, I'll end at this particular point. Is it fine? 30, 42, 40 slides. I think it's more than enough for the day. Okay. So 40 slides. In this module, we have 157 slides along with the problem. So if I just leave the problem aside, it may end up with the 125 slides. So another 2 days I can complete with module 1. Okay. And I'll just share the information regarding this about the problems. Okay. Problems we have already solved in the class from module 1 and module 2. We have already solved around 50 to 60 problems. Okay. Maybe from your class, Shantanu might have solved it in the class, or Tejaswini might have solved, or maybe few. I don't remember the names. I remember only these 2 or 3. So might be few more. They might have solved. Okay, in the class. I don't remember. Jason is there, right, in your session? Jason is there, right?
No, sir.
Either in, then someone is there near to Srivatsa, right?
Braxton.
Braxton, I don't remember. Oh, okay, whatever it is. So few have already solved it in the class. Okay. So anyway, I'll solve few of the problems. Solve in the sense I'll explain how it is solved. Okay. And if you find any doubt in the problem which is solved, you just ask me. I will just clear that when we meet next session. Okay. So other than that, whatever theory derivation, I'll try to complete almost all. Maybe around 4 modules I am thinking of completing, 4.5 modules. Okay. So I'll not go beyond that. That is more than enough for you at this time being. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So I'll conclude this today. So slide number 42. Okay. So tomorrow we'll start up with the remaining slides. And if possible, I'll try to extend half an hour more tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it fine with you, right? You should be active for the entire session, because if you just put on and sleep, I cannot monitor, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyway, I'll conclude it today. Tomorrow, I'll just send you the timings. Okay. Most probably, I'll send timings to any one student, because I have not saved your contacts. Okay. Anyone, if I just go through 16 official group, I'll just take one name and I'll just send at what time we are going to have the session tomorrow, because I have a session for second year students. Aptitude class is there. So it might be in morning or afternoon. I don't know. So depending on that, I'll schedule a session tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And one more thing, whether it is comfortable for you if I take the session after 5:30. If in case.
So we'll ask in class group and
You ask, not a problem. Not a problem, but we'll see. I'll try to have the session on the same time, 2:30 only, or before this also, morning, anytime. But even I am not comfortable at 5:30. After 5:30, there might be problem with the network due to rain and all sometimes. So I cannot rely on that. So we'll try. Okay. So just ask with your classmates whether they are comfortable after 5:30. If it is fine, then at least 1 or 2 days in a week we'll have a session around 5:30 or 5:45, whatever it is, maybe around 1.5 hour. Okay. So if there is any conflict in the sessions, that is a problem. If not a problem for me. I'll engage it. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So any doubt, you can text me or you can just ask me in the next session.
Yes.
Fine.